Says like 560, yeah.
It's not too bad unless there's an accident on 35E.
I love how it
If
says
there's an
per
accident on
serving, and then it
35E,
says per container.
it's 2 to 3
Yeah,
hours.
It's like, oh, okay, so this is like
So-
2.5 servings.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I know, you gotta do like
Louisville
calculus to
Fire
figure out what's in
Department
there.
brings
Yeah.
3 engines
Okay,
on
good
35E.
afternoon.
Here we go.
Walks the
This
whole
is the
highway.
September
It cleans up the
19th,
action.
2024
Does all its
meeting of the
photographs.
Planning and Zoning Commission. The time is 6 o'clock. Our first order of business is to recess into work session while we review the cases. We'll reconvene at 6:30. And, okay, item 1 here in the work session, we'll start with the roll call. I am Edmund Haas, Chair of the Commission. Commission members, if you could indicate your presence, please. Vice Chair Glenn Portman.
Present?
Sue Blankenship.
Present.
Kent Haferman.
Present.
Cindy Bishop.
Here.
Ed Marr.
Present.
And Freddie Guerra.
Present.
Okay, so with that, I'll turn the work session over to Ms. Mary Brown Boswell. Mary, if you could identify staff and then lead the discussion on our cases tonight.
Yes, sir. So myself, Mary from Boswell, Senior Planner, Mr. Matt Steer, Development Services Administrator, Mr. Aaron Tainter, Assistant Director of Public Works. I believe Cole might be with us virtually.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there we go. Ms. Phoebe Stell will be joining us over there with Deputy City Secretary's Office, and Ms. Cammie McGee, our Board Secretary.
Welcome back, Amy.
I'll let Matt lead us through the cases on tonight's agenda.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mary Crone Boswell. The first case, actually, we're gonna take them a little bit out of order. We're gonna take case number 7 before the case number 6, which is the Stone Lake Skyport site plan. It's a redo of the Park and Fly site. So if you remember, last year, maybe 2 years ago, they came in and they had 2 office warehouse buildings proposed for the site. That deal, I guess, fell through. There's a different developer involved now, and they're proposing essentially the same thing, but I'll go through the slight differences. It is for 2 buildings. One of them is 117,608 square feet, and building number 2 is 164,904 square feet. They're dividing it up into 33,000 square foot for office space, 249,512 square foot for warehouse space. They are meeting the parking required. They're essentially removing the majority of the trees from the site. They are saving 5. Their tree preservation, tree mitigation numbers are $179,000 that they'll have to pay in fees. But basically, it's straight site plan approval. The one thing that we struggled with, but we finally got to a resolution on, was the entry along Gateway Boulevard. Right now, it's around 75 feet wide. I'm sorry, around off of Royal Lane. It's approximately 75 feet wide. It is existing, so they're just reusing what's out there. There is going to be a median in there, which I'll go into detail out in my presentation. So that's the only kind of issue that we had, but they worked it out with Public Works and Fire, so we ended up being okay with it. Elevations look nice. Looks like an office warehouse building. So,
What a surprise.
yeah, 2 office warehouse buildings. Any questions on that?
Hey, Matt, with the proximity of the site to 635 and the frontage roads, are there any mitigation requirements for by TxDOT?
Not that I'm aware of. No, and
Okay.
the Assistant Director of Public Works is shaking his head no.
So,
Then with the size of the development, did we ask for any kind of cursory assessment on traffic implications?
They issued a traffic, letter,
Impact analysis.
impact analysis.
Okay. Okay, I can't see Cole if he's here or who's here, but I
Aaron, if
presume
you
they
want
satisfy the
to come up to
requirement?
the table? Yeah, so this is Aaron Tainter. He's the Assistant Director of Public Works.
Hi, Chairman.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Don't you feel empowered there in that chair, huh? I'm teasing, I'm
It's
teasing.
a hot seat, don't let him fool you.
Wow.
This is where he
You know what this is.
Okay.
Was there, from your perspective, was there any issue on traffic, or you felt that they satisfied any requirements or any issues we might have?
No, they provided their memo, trip generation memo. They clearly shows that based on their calculations that it does not exceed the threshold for a full-blown traffic impact analysis.
Okay. And do we have any anticipation of the kind of land use or the kind of distribution they're gonna be doing, the amount of trucks in and out? You know, I'm just thinking about queuing, they've got the railroad, you got 635 frontage road, anything there that causes you any concern?
Not anymore.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so on that study right there, it talks about peak hour, and there were only like 3 trucks during their peak hour, right?
yeah.
Something, so it's,
Okay, that's a whopping amount. Okay, I'm good.
is that right, Aaron?
Correct.
Yeah, am I,
Three in the AM, four in the PM.
okay.
Whoa, all right.
No, we had gone through a couple different concepts with them. They presented a concept to us with another driveway up north near the DART tracks.
Yeah.
That got shot down. They proposed another concept with another entrance at an existing median opening closer to Gateway Boulevard. That median opening is going to be closed with the Royal Lane TxDOT project. So where they have their driveway now, matching the existing driveway is what we've approved.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine. Any other questions about the committee?
I did have one question, maybe it's for the joint meeting, but, with the parking minimum, it just seems, the 350 parking spaces is just such a small office space. And I know we see it on every other development where parking spaces are rarely used, but.
Yeah, so next council meeting, I'm actually bringing forward a change to our warehouse parking.
Oh, wow, okay,
So, yeah, so you guys will see that next month.
okay.
So will this fall under, if it gets approved, will this fall under that or not?
Mm.
I should have waited.
Well, they can always come and amend their plan, and we can do
I
it
know,
at
but
their
they put
speed.
time and effort into this one.
Right.
So are they building this for spec and then going to lease it?
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so how does that impact the potential traffic? Will they potentially have to update the traffic study if not necessarily the use changes, but the intensity of the use changes?
I don't think we'd make them update the traffic study.
Yeah,
but,
as long as it falls within the allowed zoning use.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's a good question, like,
It is.
let's say, they build it, they lease it out, and now there's 6 trucks in the morning rather than 3. I mean, nobody's gonna enforce that, right? No one's going to make them reevaluate the traffic, right? If it backs up enough, somebody will ask the question.
Well, right, and that analysis was just to determine if there was a full-fledged traffic.
Correct.
If you needed a traffic study
Traffic
at all?
impact
Yeah.
study, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So another one of the amendments that we're bringing forward is the conversion of truck court to car parks. So if we have a conversion of a warehouse to, some high-intensity office user, we would allow for that to be done through the building permit process, and they would just need to screen that dock area. So,
Man, they should have waited.
yeah, well, so that gives them more flexibility, and that can give it to them during the permitting process, rather than having to come back through the planning and zoning commission, zoning, and city council process.
And if
Matt, can you clue us in on what kind of changes we might see next time regarding parking standards?
What kind of changes in terms of what we were just discussing, or?
Yeah, what you said that there's gonna be a change, what might that
Right,
look like?
right, well, so it's gonna be, we're proposing 1 per 2,000 square feet for warehouse. And that's standard in the industry. I've had a lot of office warehouse users tell me that.
Okay.
And we've done a comparison city analysis. And then the truck court area conversion, because we do have
Okay.
that happen quite frequently. And then also for retail users, we're looking to amend the parking requirements to allow more discretion, the Director of Community Development, a 5% parking variance. So that if, say, there's a lease space that, isn't being leased up to a restaurant user because they're deficient by 1 parking space or 2 parking spaces in a large retail center, this will give us the ability to go ahead and approve that restaurant user. And then after you reach the 5% threshold, then we would require a traffic or a parking study done by a professional parking traffic engineer
Yeah.
or someone that has expertise in doing that parking analysis. So we haven't fleshed out all those details yet. But,
Okay, thank you, sir.
yeah. So the next case was the replat, and that was just the companion request to the site plan. They're just rearranging the fire line easements and water line easements.
And was this, do I remember this correctly, that they were, I didn't see it in this, but they were proposing that the trucks would enter and exit through a specific curb cut? It was only through 635, I think.
I think that was the Seafried development, that was the previous one to this.
Okay, on the same property.
Same property,
Okay,
yeah.
but they're not proposing that.
No, they're not proposing any sort of,
There's a truck before, right?
any sort of truck route. They're not proposing any specified truck route.
Okay.
Are they, Aaron? Not? Okay, I didn't think they were.
But what it looks like though is that they will not be able to do, if they're traveling south on Royal, they will not be able to do a left turn in.
Well, they've demonstrated that they could do a left turn in.
Okay,
That would not be their preferred route though,
okay.
so.
It's just the way that it's cut,
Well, so there's a median here,
yeah.
and so they would come down and around that way,
Ah, okay.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, so the next item on the agenda was to talk through the joint meeting. Mr. Chairman, do you want me to proceed?
Yes, if you could lead us into discussion.
Okay, so let's pass these out. Can you pass these out? Okay, so the joint meeting between the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Ford Task Force, and the Smart Cities Board is scheduled for October 24th at the Life Safety Park. And the meeting will be from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And plan on having some boxed meals there
What time is it from?
from 6 p.m. until 7:30.
Aye.
And put boxed meal next to that on your calendar.
Staff will be
Is it
there.
24th?
Yeah, it's October 24th. And so we want you guys to start thinking of some items for the agenda. Currently, we have an agenda. We've drafted one up because we've had discussion around it with the Ford Task Force. So the first item on the agenda would be the comprehensive master plan update that we're going to be working on the next couple of years. The second item on the agenda will be driven, or the comprehensive master plan will be driven by the Vision 2040, which I just passed around. So that'll be a topic for discussion. And as you can see in Vision 2040, the Smart City Board has a pillar in there, and the Ford Task Force has a pillar. and you guys impact 3 or 4 of the pillars within that vision. So the final thing that we'd like to discuss on the agenda is the communication between the boards, so that we can understand when there's overlap between the tasks that we're working on. And so we need to keep each other informed. So right now, we currently have breakfast with the mayor, where the chairman and the vice chair, they go to that meeting. What they do is they take in the information from the other city boards, and then they come back and report that to their respective committees. So what we could do is arrange another annual meeting, something like that, amongst the task force and the boards, to where we could really get a grasp on what the others are doing. So I just passed out the Vision 2040. I'll also send out work plan for fiscal year 24-25, and that has some tasks that staff's working on with our respective boards in relation to this Vision 2040. So I'll send that out, as well as a link to Comp Plan 2030, and that'll give you an idea for the various topics that should be within our Comp Plan 2040. So we will discuss this further at the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on this, is it 17th? Yep, it's a week before our joint meeting. So that's it.
Matt, I think it's a great idea that we're coordinating, particularly on the items that'll be of importance on the comp plan. Will there be a comprehensive plan committee? And if so, is that going to be run through the Planning and Zoning Commission or a separate type committee?
I anticipate that the Planning and Zoning Commission is going to take the lead role in the update, and we will have stakeholders from various other committees definitely involved in the comp plan. So,
can you forward an electronic copy of the vision there so I can take a peek at that?
yes, sir.
Fantastic. Any questions by the commission?
Will there be a staff report that you would be generating for this meeting, that we would be getting ahead of time?
We can put together some backup information in addition to this. But yeah, I'm not sure if there.
That'd be helpful for this newbie.
Yeah,
Me too.
for sure.
Never seen something like this yet.
Newbie, you may or may not be reelected.
That's true.
I'll make a note of that.
Thank you for that, Sue.
Have you had something like this before?
It's going to be helpful.
We have not had, well, we have had a joint meeting between the Economic Development Committee, the City Council, and the P&Z. We had one there.
Oh,
It was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, a while back.
yeah, and we've been talking about this joint meeting for quite some time. So,
And what do we think the ideal outcome of this meeting is, or the
Good question.
What is it gonna generate?
Well-
What do we want it to generate?
well, so the comp plan update, right? We're gonna need everyone involved in that, so that's gonna really guide the discussion. So what we'll do is we'll come with topics that we anticipate are gonna be needed for the comp plan, and then receive others from the various boards during that meeting. Does that make sense?
So you call it a comp plan, but this is the comprehensive general plan, is that what this is?
Comprehensive master plan
Master plan for the
city,
community.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
So you have zoning in there?
yeah, we've got future land use. You know, we've been looking at other comp plans.
We're
And-
right in the kind of beginning portion of it, so we're trying to look through and see all the different topics and items that we want to include. That's what we're kind of going through right now.
Right, yeah.
So this process, start to finish, is a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, it's a 2-year process, so if you include writing the RFP, it's 2 years. After you write the RFP, it's probably 18 months.
Okay.
So,
So then are we ultimately then generating a list of like considerations, or is it within sort of the group's purview to talk about how to structure the to Sue's point, the execution of how this gets accomplished and so forth?
Absolutely. So we've got, part of the RFP will be outlining the topics that we want our consultant to address, right? So we've got to get those out on the table and make sure they're understood, make sure we're not missing anything, and then hire the right consultant, right? And then part of their involvement will be, analyzing our process, seeing how we want to do the implementation of the plan, how we want to do our meetings, stakeholders involved. So there's a stakeholders community participation process that would be part of the comp plan, right? And then I imagine demographics, community profile, future land use, redevelopment is definitely going to be a large component of this comp plan, because we've only got 150 acres left to develop here in Coppell. So that is the biggest component that, from our perspective, right?
Does that 150 acres include Blackberry Farm?
No,
That's already
exclusive.
developed.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not sure if it's 150. I was throwing that out there to look smart, so.
And you just calmed down.
So around 100 to 150 maybe, so.
Okay.
But then,
I didn't question it at all.
thank you. You get a star. But a component of the plan would definitely be the future-oriented approach to residential development. And they've got a component of their work plan items for next year that talks about accessory dwelling units and housing in general, right? So that's something that we're definitely going to be involved in, because that's going to require an analysis of the entire community, where these accessory dwelling units can fit, and the impact on the rest of the community if, say, we do something like that. So it's going to be exciting.
It's like a precursor to.
Matt, do you see, sorry, Mary, Matt, do you see the additional meetings with as part of a comprehensive plan committee, or are we going to be on a regular schedule and have meetings aligned with our regular schedule?
Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a lot of additional meetings.
Yep.
If we're going to choose a member of the planning commission to be involved and then report back, or if we're all going to be involved, yeah, I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. Okay.
It's a huge undertaking.
It is, for sure, yeah. It's exciting.
You
Yeah.
just keep
And
telling yourself.
this is really going to lead us to the build out of the community, right? This is going to be a big one.
Yeah. So other things that we'll look at is a smart city component, sustainability, resilience, environment, transportation and mobility. That's what Eddie's there tonight, right? You're there for a mobility plan in Hutto.
Yeah.
So we've got an
Yeah.
expert.
Yeah.
As long as you don't bid for the project, you can be on our committees and stuff, and won't have to recuse yourself.
Yeah, understood.
So this is kind of like a precursor to the other projects that are gonna come, like zoning ordinance changes, like more substantial. We're bringing kind of smaller things, but this will help us kind of revamp the zoning ordinance in a fuller picture. So this is kind of the first step. What direction do we want to go? And then how do we achieve that through the zoning ordinance, the future land use plan? And that's all going to be kind of, this is the stepping off point for that.
Yeah.
So quick question. Obviously, the master plan's on water, wastewater, but are you looking at like shorten like the window for the planning? Like, is it more like a 5-10 year horizon versus 15, 20? And then the other question I had is, a lot of cities and utilities are going toward more a dynamic master plan, where again, you have these tools that are predicting what may happen and it updates your plan versus having it static.
Yeah, and so, I went to the conference, the National Planning Conference, and they were talking about the dynamic plans. That's something that's very interesting, and if we can hit it at the right time, we could have an evolving plan that changes over, time. So, but yeah, we haven't delved into it that deep yet.
Well, I'm excited. Love this.
Has council put forth any sort of rubric or any considerations at this point?
Well, they've approved the budget for it, right? So they're definitely, they know it needs to happen.
But in terms of the, like how to think outside of the vision, how to
Well, I
think
think
about
that's
it,
what
or
the
any
workshop's about.
additional.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
well, no, but, yes, I agree, but in terms of, what I was just curious if they've talked about it in one of their work sessions and have anything that has, output from that.
They have not had a specific meeting on the comp plan, but we know the vision and the work plan items that we associate with that vision. So I think we'll be in a good place to bring forward a proposal. We'll have to, bring forward something or give them a heads up before it goes out for RFP.
Will the city
Make sure that-
council members be part of this joint meeting? No.
Hey, sorry, and not to broaden our scope, but are we going to look at maybe considerations to like revise this so it's a little more like, I don't know if I
Yes.
want to use the word, but it's just very,
It's
Relevant?
very broad right now. Yeah.
Right.
And so it leaves a lot to interpretation. But
Yes.
that could be a good thing, because it could give us the ability to veer off a little bit where we want to go, right?
I would agree with that, Freddie. I think that's, in reading through this, I think some of it is, was this kind of a sign of the time, themes of the time, and some of it, and it is fairly broad that it may need to be refined a bit.
Yeah, well, we can talk through that at our joint meeting.
Exactly.
So
Sounds
some of the
good.
some of the special area plans that we were talking about needing for this comp plan, definitely the historic district and the old town area. We'd need to see examples of office warehouse redevelopment, how that can occur. I think something that was very important would be our Denton Tap corridor, Sandy Lake corridor. And that was just the beginning of my list. And so, be thinking through that so that next meeting we can finalize what we want, our first blush at what we want in the comp plan, right?
I don't see anything in here about pickleball. It's a little disappointing, okay? I'm just telling you right now.
Hey, Matt, I think one of the issues with regards to redevelopment might be density and intensity of development or redevelopment, something, so it meshes in with what we're trying to achieve long-term as part of the vision of the community.
Right.
Any other questions of staff at 6:27? Okay, guys, why don't we go ahead and adjourn the work session? Do you need a couple minutes before we reconvene for general session?
Okay.
Yes, you always ask, and we always say yes.
Yes, just a couple minutes.
Okay, so let's,
Yes.
we'll reconvene at 6:35.
You want that?
6:35.
6:35.
We already have a couple out there, but
At
I
next
put
meeting.
in a new
6:35, and the Planning and Zoning Commission is now reconvening into regular session. All of the commission members are present. Chairman Haas is virtual this evening. Item 4 on the agenda is citizens' appearance. Is there any persons that are wishing to speak on any item that is not on the agenda? Kami, could you help me and identify if there's anybody there wishing to speak?
There's nobody.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5. Item 5 is the approval of the August 15 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. Is there any discussion by the commission, or is there a motion?
I'll move, Mr. Chairman, to approve the minutes as written of the last meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Portman. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Blankenship. Kami, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Commissioner Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Vice Chair Portman.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Maurer.
Aye.
Commissioner Hafeman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Very good. Thank you, Kami. We're going to be making a change on the agenda. We're going to switch items 6 and 7. Item 7 is the site plan case, and this is going to provide context for item 6, which is a replat case. So item 7 is the Stone Lake Skyport site plan, and this is to consider approval of the Stone Lake Skyport site plan, Lot 1, Block A site plan for 2 office/warehouse buildings, one being 117,608 square feet, the other being 164,904 square feet, and associated easements in fire lane configuration on 16.07 acres of property located at the northeast corner of South Royal Lane and Gateway Boulevard, being represented by SL7 DFW Industrial Limited and represented by Nita Husseini and Kimley Horn Associates. We have a staff presentation by Mr. Matt Steer. Matt?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. This property is zoned light industrial and has been used as a park and fly location since 1995. A site plan for a similar office warehouse development was approved in October 2022 for redevelopment of this site, but was never constructed. The existing site has several buildings, in addition to car canopy areas that will be removed to allow for the new construction. The site is surrounded by other light industrial properties. It's bounded by Royal Lane to the west, Gateway Boulevard to the south, Dart Rail Line to the north, and another office warehouse site to the east. 2 office warehouse buildings are proposed to be constructed side by side with the truck courts facing each other. Building 1, which is closest to Royal Lane, is proposed to be 117,608 square feet, while Building 2 is located on the eastern portion of the site. It's proposed to be 164,904 square feet. There are 33,000 square feet devoted to office space, and the remainder will be warehouse distribution space. A parking ratio of 1 space per 300 square feet attributed to the office space, and 1 parking space per 1,000 square feet attributed to the warehouse space. So there's 361 parking spaces proposed and 360 parking spaces that were required. There's an entrance proposed along Gateway Boulevard, which will bring the trucks straight into the truck court area. There's also another entrance located off on Royal Lane. A fire lane encircles the site and bisects the truck court area. In addition, a 30-foot drive aisle extends north and, okay, so that's the entrance off of Gateway. And then the 30-foot drive aisle would extend north and south parallel to Royal for the truck traffic. The applicant's proposing a 65-foot wide drive approach with an 8-foot by 18-foot concrete median separating the inbound, outbound traffic along Royal to help maneuver the trucks to and from the site. This does require a variance to the subdivision ordinance as the width exceeds the 40-foot maximum and the radii are irregular. This has been reviewed by our Public Works and Fire Departments, and they are okay with it. It's listed as a condition within the recommendation for approval. There are only 5 trees proposed to be preserved on site. The remainder, 783 caliper inches, will be removed
There are 6 specimen trees greater than 24 caliper inches that will be removed, and after a preservation credit and the landscape credit, the total cost is $179,870 to be paid at the time of tree removal permit. As designed, the landscape plan is compliant with the regulation of the landscape ordinance and exceeds the total amount of landscape area, total landscape area required. The landscape buffer along Royal Lane, along the dark perimeter to the north, and segments of Gateway Boulevard meet or exceed the 15-foot minimum required. A total of 130 trees, which are 4 caliper inch overstory trees. They're proposed to be planted on the site. These consist of 39 lacy oaks, 22 chinkapin oak, 30 Shumard red oak, 13 live oak, and 26 cedar elms. The proposed and existing perimeter trees and proposed shrubs will serve as a buffer to the DART line from the site, and there are shrubs proposed to screen the parking areas from the rights-of-way and the adjacent properties. There are 2 monument signs proposed, one on Gateway Boulevard and one on Royal. The details were not submitted, and therefore they'll just need to meet the requirements of the sign ordinance when they apply for a monument sign permit. In terms of the elevation, the buildings are approximately 48 feet in height from ground to the parapet. The buildings will be made of tilt wall and will have enhanced entries at the sides and in the middle. There's building 2. There's the enhanced entries at the sides and in the middle. There are square clear story windows on the upper part of the front elevations to provide natural light inside the building. The corners of the buildings will have extensive storefront glass with canopies and reveals, and the truck court side of the buildings will also have reveals to break up the length. Staff is recommending approval of the Stone Lake Skyport site plan subject to the following conditions. 1, that a variance be granted to allow for the driveway configuration as shown for the South Royal Lane entry. 2, there may be additional comments at the time of detailed engineering review and building permit. 3, signage shall comply with the sign ordinance. 4, a tree removal permit shall be required. Tree mitigations are estimated to be $179,870. And 5, the plat for this development be filed. That concludes my remarks. The applicant is in the audience to help answer any questions.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Matt. Any questions of staff by the commission? Okay, hearing none. At pre-session, there were some general questions regarding traffic. The assistant traffic engineer provided some feedback. We're comfortable with those, but Matt, one comment I might have, I see the direct access off the frontage road. No, that's Gateway, sorry. Nope, I'm good. Is the applicant here to present the case? And if we could get your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Neda Hosseini. I am the engineer of record and the applicant. My address is 13455 Knoll Road in Dallas, Texas, 75 something. 240. Thank you for the help. We have our design team here as well, and Blake is here. Blake Wilson's here from SL7, who's from the ownership side. I am happy to answer any questions. We very much appreciate your time tonight, and we very much appreciate Matt and his entire team for working with us to come up with the best form of access to our site. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the commission, by the commission of the applicant? Okay, seeing none. Hard night tonight. Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the item for or against?
It's not
Matt,
a public
if you can
hearing.
help me, I don't see anybody from the screen. Okay. Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing. Is there any discussion by the commission, or is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve Stone Lake Skyport Site Plan, Lot 1, Block A, Item 7 on the evening's agenda, as submitted, subject to the staff conditions.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Portman. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second by Commissioner Guerra. Cammy, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Commissioner Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Vice Chair Portman.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Heathman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Very good. Thank you very much. Item 6 on the agenda is the public hearing. This is the Stone Lake Skyport replat. This is to consider approval of the Stone Lake Skyport replat, Lot 1, Block A, a replat to modify a lot for the creation of 2 office warehouse buildings and associated easements and fire lane reconfiguration on 16.07 acres of property located at the northeast corner of South Royal and Gateway Boulevard, being represented by SL7 DFW Industrial and being represented by Anita Husseini of Kimley Horn Associates. Matt Steer has the staff report. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The current lot is platted, so a replat is required. They plan on abandoning the existing fire lane easements and then adding new fire lanes and necessary easements. Staff is recommending approval of the Stone Lake Skyport Edition replat subject to the following conditions. 1, that a variance be granted to allow for the driveway configuration as shown on the site plan for the South Royal Lane entry. And 2, there may be additional comments at the time of detailed engineering review and building permit. That concludes my remarks, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Matt. Any questions by the commission? Okay. Would the applicant like to add anything to the presentation?
Not at this time, but again, happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions of the applicant by the commission? Okay. Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to speak for or against the proposed application? Matt, if you could help me out.
There's a lot of people out there, but none of them want to speak.
Okay. Last Chance Cafe, anybody? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing. Is there any discussion by the commission or a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve Stone Lake Skyport replat, Lot 1, Block A, item 6 on this evening's agenda, subject to the staff conditions.
Very good. We have a motion by Vice Chair Portman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner, was that Hafeman?
Hafeman, yes.
Yes, very good. Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Hafeman. Tammy, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Commissioner Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Vice Chair Portman.
Aye.
Commissioner Haas, Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Heathman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Very good. Thank you very much to the applicants. Looking forward to seeing your development here in Coppell. Item 8 this evening is an update on city council items. Matt, is there some items you'd like to add?
There was no planning-related items on the council. There's no
Okay.
update.
Okay, with that, we'll move to item 9. Are there any final comments by the staff or commission this evening? Seeing none, we will adjourn the meeting. The time is 6:49, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.